Jessia Wijaya is an illustrator and foil print artist who blends the warmth of traditional art with the magic of digital painting. Her worlds glow with soft light, subtle emotions, and an atmosphere that feels alive. I actually discovered her from a very enthusiastic Discord group. Her work inspired me to at least start drawing again. During the time, I was having a terrible art block, and I saw her artwork as a challenge, and I really wanted to study her work. Just like before, we're going to think like a detective and use our observation skills and a bit of creativity to decipher what is going on here. So I challenge you to follow along and see if you can do the same.
Unfortunately, there are only a couple of videos of her drawing, and I was only able to at least figure out that her process is actually very similar to mine. Over here, it seems like she started with a line work and then worked her way with coloring this painting. One interesting fact though is, I don't think she ever used a clipping mask in this painting of Arlecchino. What does she do here and why? It seems like she paints directly behind the line work with very little cleanup. And I suspect it's because if you do something very loosely like this, that you retain the energy of your original sketch. It adds a little bit more style, a little bit more pizzazz to the painting. It's very subtle, but once you look at it close enough, it's definitely there. What is it exactly that makes her painting so unique? How is it that she's able to produce masterpieces one after another so effortlessly? What's the secret behind this elusive trick? For me, it's all about artistry. Or to put it simply, the mastery of your own technique. So today, I'm going to attempt to recreate some of those techniques in this fan art of Hatsune Miku. So, just like her process, I start with a good line art. In fact, here, I go straight to drawing, no guides. This is because I want to put all the ideas in my head into paper before they disappear. This is actually a technique I learned from Feng Zhu, where you put all the ideas in paper first and then fix all the mistakes later.
And from here, I can just clean it up and make some adjustments along the way. Next is intention. This is going to be a short one. Despite what I said, none of what she does is random. Her paintings are built with a lot of intention. She borrows elements from the characters that she is making, shaping their personality outwards, turning them into shapes that puts their subjects into frame. You can see them on these paintings right here. Character in the middle, frame on the foreground or background. And I think she plans all of those things ahead of time. So, in my painting, I'm putting in shapes that are related to the character's personality and story. Miku is a musical character, so I'm trying to shape musical iconography around her, surrounding her with symbolisms that makes her character unique.
I actually struggled quite a little bit here. As you can see, I go through a lot of variations with the frame. And admittedly, I even tried to copy some of the elements that Jessica used in some of her paintings. However, it was very hard to copy her style, and I ended up with a mess like this. At the end of this, you'll actually see me do something on my own, something that I'm more familiar with. And I think that worked out better for me at the end.
I also want to borrow techniques from old masters like J.C. Decker, where you can zoom in any part of the painting and you'll still get something out of it. I have a video about him, linked on the upper right corner. So I'm going to move on now to rendering. Okay, this is probably the real challenge behind making art like this, because it's easy to scroll past her work and think it's beautiful, but when you actually do something similar, you realize how hard it is to balance all those elements.
I found this video of her painting Robin from Honkai Star Rail. In this painting, she starts with flat colors.
Flat colors are colors that aren't affected by lighter shadows.
And from this play-by-play video of Ayato and Ayaka, I think she builds her shadows and lighting layer by layer. Let me show you what that means. Right now, I have two multiply layers in 30% opacity, and these will serve as a baseline for my shadows. The first multiply layer is for the general shading. When drawing shadows, first establish a light source. In this case, it's behind the painting or in front of her since she's facing backwards. So a lot of her back is going to be in shadow. I'm also going to add a second light source here, a very weak one, and this is going to be my bounce light,
or light reflecting off a surface that's also bouncing back to our subject.
And the second layer of shadow is for my inner shadows, or shadows that are in these tight places where the objects are very close to each other. She does the same with lighting too. In my case, I usually use an overlay layer with 100% opacity for my lighting, and I at least use also two of them. You can always add more layers in between these too. She also adds a Terminator line, and I'm not talking about the T800. I'm talking about the part where the light meets the shadows, like these areas right here. And it was just a matter of time before I finished this painting. So there are a couple of other things that I actually added that I think gives off a similar result to what she's doing. For example,
adjusting the curves to achieve the color that I want.
I also added subtle textures all over the painting.
And I also colored the line art.
And finally, we arrive at composition. Composition is like music. It controls rhythm, balance, and where your eyes want to go. Her work reminds me of movie posters, almost like they are trying to make you watch something. They're more like character highlights, if anything. Big, detailed, full-body poses and a close-up somewhere in the canvas, framed with intricate shapes around it. It actually reminds me of old Catholic churches, with those big windows that has really beautiful patterns into them, or the patterns of the back of the playing card.
And this is the final result. What do you guys think? Definitely not on the same level, but I think I did okay. I hope there's something positive about this video that you can take away from, something that might improve your workflow for the better.
So behind the beauty of her work are a lot of hidden technical and artistic challenges, and that's what I love about studying artists like Jessica. They make difficult things look effortless, but when you slow it down, you'll see intention, design, patience, and clarity. And that's what real artistry is.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time. Bye-bye you!